Top of the morning, all you beautiful people. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning into another video. I got a sweet one for all you Porsche lovers here today. We got a 2008 Porsche Cayenne Turbo. Beautiful SUV. Take a quick look here. It's got the peanut butter interior. Interior is real nice on this truck. Love how everything is peanut butter, from the carpets to the seats to the dash to the steering wheel. Pitter patter, let's get at her. This thing is here for an oil change service. And also, we're going to be replacing a lower control arm on this thing, sending it for a wheel alignment. The reason we're changing the control arm is this customer hit a curb and the control arm is visibly bent. So we've got a control arm sitting over there on the parts bench. As you guys know, if you've followed any of my videos, I'm a huge fan of liquid moly. I run it in every vehicle that comes to the shop for service. We got our oil filter here. We got this thing up on the lift. We're going to lift it up, start taking off the underside splash shield, and we'll show you how to do this oil change. Nice under view of the Cayenne. So first things first, typical Eurocar fashion, lots of splash shields. So just a couple 10mm bolts for this rear shield, a couple more back here. Up here you're gonna have a couple T20 screws you're gonna want to remove to get that front one off. And up there is another 10mm bolt and another one over here. So remove those, and we'll take a look at the oil pan and see what she looks like. Make sure to get your drain pan ready. It's a number 8 hex bit for the drain plug. Pull that sucker out, let this thing drain. Make sure to pull the oil fill cap off so it fully drains. I like to let these things sit a little bit longer than usual, just so that when you check the dipstick, you got nice clean oil and no old oil residue. So you can expect about 10 liters to come out of this thing. So oil filter housing is located on the passenger side near the bottom here. If you remove these two 10mm nuts for these cooler lines, you can swing them down, gives you a lot more access for that puppy. As you can see with the cooler lines removed, lots of access there. Just gonna go get a socket to fit this thing and be right back. 36mm for the oil filter cap. Make sure your drain pan is underneath, because this thing is kind of facing down, so not your typical top mounted oil filter cartridge. But that must be why the dealership charges $500 for this oil change. Imagine that. Once you got your cap spun off, let that filter drain a little bit. It's not a bad idea to bungee cord those transmission cooler lines if you haven't already. I obviously didn't, and I'm gonna have to brake clean them off, clean them up a little bit. Make sure you note the way that filter comes out when you pull it out. So as with any cartridge filter oil housing like this, you guys want to make sure you clean it up nice before you put that filter in. Make sure you clean the cap properly. You're going to be replacing the O-ring on the cap. So I like to use a little pick tool like this. Grab it around the O-ring, pull it off. Got your new O-ring with the filter kit. Make sure to put a dab of oil on the O-ring before you install the cap and spin it back together. Okay, get your cooler lines bolted back up. Make sure everything's nice and clean. Filter's tight, drain plug's tight. Ready to start putting some splash shields back up. Oh, with the 3 splash shields, you're gonna start with this one right here. You're gonna put this guy up, followed by this little guy. That's kind of the lower front splitter lip, you could call it. And then you're gonna put on the transmission cover last. Okay, she's full, so make sure to fire it up. Let it run for about 30 to 60 seconds. Shut it off, let it sit for about 5 minutes and double check that oil level. We're gonna go ahead and fire it up. You guys can hear this beautiful monster. Without the keys, you won't. Now if you guys are running Liqui-Moly like me, make sure to put your little oil change sticker underneath the hood so the customer knows next time they need to change the oil. Nice little reminder. Sometimes people forget or just put a little note in your phone, but I really am a big fan of using these stickers. Okay, we're going to move on to the second part of this job, getting this control arm changed. We're just waiting on a wheel lock key. As soon as that gets here, we're going to lift this thing up, pull that wheel off, and get cracking on that control arm. Look at those nice big brakes on these Porsches. Okay, so we're down at the control arm here. Lovely little control arm. It's pretty heavy, this unit. Very surprising how heavy that control arm is. Anyways, series of 21s. What we're gonna do before we take this thing apart is we're gonna mark our eccentric bolts so we can get the alignment close, even though this thing is going for a wheel alignment right after. The shop it's going to a wheel alignment for is probably 100 feet away, so nice and close. So again, we're going to mark these bolts first. We're going to crack the nut side loose, not the bolt side of the eccentric bolts. You don't want to screw them up, so you want to always break them on the nut side. Got another 21 here we're going to remove, and hopefully by that time our wheel lock key gets here. I have to apologize, guys. My SD card has been acting up, so it deleted some of the footage that I had of actually changing this thing. It wasn't too bad though, mostly 21 mil fasteners. What you're gonna do is loosen the nut side of the eccentric bolts like I had mentioned before. Crack those loose, crack the front one loose. You can loosen up your shock bolt here. You can go ahead and remove the nut on the lower ball joint here. The only other thing I'm going to mention is when you're removing these eccentric bolts on this one, you're going to want to turn the actual eccentric side so that the narrower part of the washer will clear the inner tie rod boot. This one here is pretty straightforward to pull out. Your shock bolt, very easy to take out. You're obviously going to have to remove this little cover here. Then once you got that all undone, you're just going to take a pry bar, you're going to flip this down here, and now your control arm is going to sit somewhere about here. Then all you're going to have to do is just rotate this lower ball joint out of the knuckle and reverse the process for the install. It's not really that bad. The only other thing I want to mention is before you put it down on the ground and fully tighten up your eccentric nuts here, you're going to want to load the suspension up. So if you put a jack underneath this control arm and get that upper control arm sitting at about a 90-degree angle, that basically replicates the ride height. Then you can go ahead, tighten these guys down, make sure everything's tight, send it for an alignment like you see we did. Drives awesome. So behind me, guys, I got some beautiful Carbo Evo X's. We're going to be talking about those in another video for the E46 M3. But as far as the Cayenne video goes, hopefully this video was helpful to you guys doing an oil change, and hopefully you got to save yourself a little bit of money over what the dealership charges. It's quite a bit. The control arm part of the video, I'm really sorry. I apologize for the deleted footage on the SD card. It's been screwing up lately. I had that whole process filmed, so we kind of had to brief it up in that last little section. We sent the truck for a wheel alignment. It drives perfectly straight, drives super smooth. Customer's going to be really happy. If you guys found this video helpful, or if you like this video, I would really appreciate if you like and subscribe to my channel. That would be just wonderful. I hope you guys all keep your sticks on the ice, and we'll catch you in the next video. Thank you very much.